Hi and welcome to the second part in this series of vlogs relating to the discussions between Blizzard and the folks who went to Gamescom recently. In this video I'm going to take a look at what they said about loot in Legion and throw in my own comments. So one of the things discussed was personal loot. This has been creeping into the game for a while and I'm always very positive about it. It especially removes a lot of loot drama when running pugs. That being said, I've stated before that I'm not in favour of abolishing master loot for pre-made groups, however it is what it is. Now the new version of personal loot was brought in with the pre-Legion patch, whereby you can trade personal loot to other people in your group as long as you have an equal or higher level item for the same slot. This is good for a couple of reasons. One, it means that if you're going along with friends, then a high geared character can pass stuff to a lower geared one. Of course they don't have to be your friends. If all you're going to do is vend the item, you could just pass it on to be nice. Two, it means that people in pugs can't be bullied into handing over what would be upgrades for them because they won't physically be able to. If it's an item level upgrade over what you've already got, then it can't be traded. One point just for clarification, you cannot trade coined loot. This is only for loot awarded via personal loot. And these are the reasons Blizzard said they made the changes. It's clear they really want personal loot to be seen as the model for pugs especially, and works hard to incentivise its use without allowing for too much abuse. Note that it wouldn't be suitable for split runs in guild because you can't funnel loot away from alts to mains in this way because it's likely the items would be an upgrade for those alts. So for guild progress groups you're still going to want master looter. However, when it comes to farm, well, who knows. Now, when it comes to gearing, there are a lot of changes in Legion. It used to be the case that you get to level cap and then hit the dungeons. Normal first and then heroics from TBC onwards. In the days when you didn't have to wait for raids to open, you'd also get yourself in there quickly. More recently, we've had a bit of time between the expansion launch, I should say, and the launch of the raids. Well, in Legion, it's pretty frantic. You need to hit the normal dungeons and world quest as normal. Get yourself to item level 8-10 really quickly. Then you need to hit the heroics to get it higher. Then you want to get into mythic dungeons. Now one thing being discussed at Gamescom was the lockouts of mythic and mythic plus. Basically there don't seem to be any. That's right, the intention seems to be able to spam them for as long as you have time. The reasoning is that they don't want a situation where people run them early in the week and so others can't find groups later on. However, my personal opinion is that this is the wrong thinking. Apart from the fact that a lot of people who are going to engage in things like raiding may well have to run them later in the week because they'll be busy with raiding at the start of resets, people who can run them throughout the week will only do so if it's worth their while. And it being worth their while heavily suggests that the gear gains from doing so are good. Well, now you have a situation where people playing the game every day for long sessions will gear up much faster than those who don't, and not just by a little bit. This seems to be in contrast to the reasons behind World Quest not being on a daily timer and the artifact research notes allowing for catch-up. I'd also suggest that people who have the time to run dungeons throughout the week would still do so anyway because they are more likely to have active alts. Now currently you are guaranteed loot from mythic dungeons if you complete them, but Blizzard did discuss changing this so that only a few did each time. But either way, it would mean that you're encouraged to run a lot of dungeons throughout the week. When it comes to dungeon loot, they did say that the best stuff, on balance, will come from the weekly Mythic Plus chest. I talked about that towards the end of my Order Halls video recently. And if you're wondering what loot you can expect from Mythic Plus, Blizzard said that at level 10 it equates to Heroic Emerald Nightmare gear to begin with. Level 10 is the highest level that rewards an upgrade of loot, as further levels are there for achievements for like skin unlocks for your artifacts and the like. The concept of Titan Forged is designed to extend the useful lifetime of content. For those who are still unsure of how this works, when you're eligible for a piece of loot, an internal roll is made to see if it upgrades. If it does, the item level is 5 higher. If this happens, another roll is made, another internal roll to see if it goes by up another 5. And it keeps doing this until either the roll fails or you reach the ceiling in place for that loot item, which the ceiling can allow for as many as 15 internal rolls in a row. Of course, the chance of getting that is very, very small. In this way, loot items from a lot of the content has a wide variety of potential item levels. Obviously, the chances of it increasing by a large margin gets increasingly small to the point where you can't realistically get the best gear in the game just from dungeons or lower level content. But the potential to get some of the best items exists. The point was made that you could in theory get a mythic raid quality item from LFR, but it's so unlikely that you'd need the look of the Irish to get anything approaching a full set this way. Blizzard said that they wanted a situation where engaging in what might be considered largely dead content for advanced characters can turn up something worthwhile to make it seem more useful. For example, if you are going to help out some lower geared alts in a guild in a dungeon run, well, there is still a chance you could get something that would be an upgrade for you, albeit a small chance. Of course, the more you progress that character, the smaller the chance this becomes, but they may be right in that people don't always think in terms of the strict maths or the strict probabilities of these events. I remember in vanilla getting lucky farming in Silithus before it was expanded out of Anchorage, and looting 2 BOE epics within a week of each other. Now, these were world drops, and the drop chance was tiny as might be expected, but it didn't stop some people in my guild going to Silithus and farming the same mobs that I was in the belief that somehow they were lucky or something. Needless to say, all they got was a load of rock for their trouble. There was more discussion about Augment Rooms, but these ran along the same lines as for WoD. Min-maxing players want them, and people running LFR get a decent supply of them. So there's the potential for trade where more casual players can get a decent amount of gold from raiders, who in turn are able to sell epic BOEs from their runs. One curious comment was that they said mythic raiders who use Augment Rooms tend to use the guild bank to fund them, or rich players in the guild. Now, the first one has never been in my experience, although, of course, one person's experience is always very limited. But the thought of rich philanthropists in the guild buying runes for their poorer guildies made me smile. I'm not sure they got rich in the first place by giving away all their gold. Finally, tier sets are coming back to LFR in Legion. Blizzard said that they were removed in WoD to prevent people who did organised raiding feeling obligated to running LFR, but felt they went too far and so bringing them back. Now, to me, this only makes sense if you think LFR participation dropped off alarmingly. I don't think it did, but probably the main reason for many running it was for the legendary items for the questline. Now that these won't exist in Legion, I think the return of the tier gear is preemptive to prevent an exodus from LFR rather than identifying an actual problem with it in WoD. But that's just my cynical view. And that's pretty much what they had to say about loot, with my own thoughts thrown in. Of course, this doesn't include legendary items, but that's for a video all of its own. In fact, the very next video, part 3. So as always, I hope you found this interesting. If you did, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe and share. And until next time, I'll see you later.